What is up, Fantasy Kingdom? Welcome back to the Fantasy Kings podcast. We got a great episode for you today. We are going to go team by team with the results from our auction draft. I'm really excited to talk about it. Collie, how about you?
Yeah, it was a great day. A lot of emotions, a lot of drinks, a lot of heckling, a lot of banter back and forth. It was a great day, and ready to break down some teams of what we think.
Yep, absolutely. So again, our league is a $300 auction, 12 team this year. If you play in a 10-team league, grow up and get in a real league.
Pay for two more people.
Yeah, but we got 12 teams, we got $300 budget, so let's break it down. First team, we've got team 1. I'm going to look at my phone here because I got it here. So they got Josh Allen at quarterback, they got Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Travis Etienne, David Montgomery, Dalton Schultz, Samaje Perine, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Alvin Kamara, Tyler Boyd, Jamison Williams, Tank Bigsby, Jason Sanders, and the Chicago defense. A couple interesting auction notes from that squad. We've got Josh Allen going for $49. We've got Justin Jefferson going for $86. And we have Travis Etienne going for $60. So overall, those three guys took up about 65% of their cap. And I'm going to give that team, I'm going to give them a B+. I like what they did. They've got some really solid players. They need to, get through the Kamara suspension, but I think they've got a solid team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be a little bit above you. I think it would be. I think I was high on Kamara. With you said the B-, and it was giving me that look.
I said B+.
Oh, whoops. I guess. Well, I'm going to go with a solid B. I'm not going to change. I think I was high on Kamara. As long as he comes back and he doesn't lose any work, I think his team is solid top to bottom.
Excellent.
Let's go with team 2 here. I'm going to go off my phone just like Billy did and read out. They have Tony Pollard, Drake London, Jamar Gibbs, Devontae Smith, Trevor Lawrence, DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Mixon, Brandon Ayuk, Odell Beckham Jr., Greg Dulcich, Daniel Jones, Sam Laporta, and they have McPherson in the Steelers defense. And basically their top 3 players that they spent on was Tony Pollard at 72, Jamar Gibbs at 41, and Devontae Smith at 38. So they spent about 50% of their draft capital on their top 3 players, Tony Pollard, Jamar Gibbs, and Devontae Smith. I think top to bottom, I think it's a pretty solid team as well from a draft perspective. I think I would give it a B+. What are you thinking?
So I'm going to give them a B on that one. They got a lot of good values. Like they got Pollard at a good price. They got Gibbs, I thought, at a good price. But nothing really jumps off at me. Like their receiving core is pretty middle of the pack. But on the bright side, that's the easiest one to overcome. So overall, I liked their draft. It's going to be, it'll be interesting to see if Trevor Lawrence can really take the next step into the QB1 territory.
Yeah, and just they went with a 3-headed monster running back with Jamar Gibbs, Tony Pollard. They also have Joe Mixon on that team. So I'm fine with their team. I think they did really well. If anything, I think that their wide receivers are a little hit or miss, but overall, good team.
Yep. All right, so the next team, we've got team number 3. They got Joe Burrow, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Isaiah Pacheco, Bijan Robinson, David Njoku, Jamal Williams, Mike Williams, Nico Collins, Ryan Mostert, Dalton Kincaid, Gus Edwards, Joseph the kicker, and Greg Joseph, I should say, and the Dallas defense. So that is what we're looking at. I am thinking, I struggle with this team giving it a grade. I'm gonna go B- just because. Yeah, they got a rookie running back so they got Bijan for 110, they got Stephon Diggs for 70, and they got Joe Burrow for 24. That's a lot of money to be spending on the 3 players. Like, it's fine. I understand that process, but man, I just you're putting a lot of trust on a rookie running back. And your next running back, Isaiah Pacheco, who I love on a player level, he's a running back by committee in a heavy pass offense, and he's not a pass catcher. So I can't get over a B- on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a C plus. I'm high on Bijan Robinson, so I like what they did there. But if you break down their overall team in general, I mean, I love how they have 2 stud wide receivers with Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper. I'm high on this year as well. And then they really just have an anchor with Bijan. But outside of that, they don't really have any running backs. Their tight end also doesn't seem that great. So I'm going to say a C plus for that team.
Cool.
Let's go with team 4. They have the hero running back strategy, which some people are a huge fan on with their budget. Starting off with Christian McCaffrey. They have Dak Prescott, Austin Eckler, Christian Kirk, Michael Thomas, Evan Ingram, DeAndre Swift, Adam Thielen, Jake Ferguson, Kadarius Toney, Russell Wilson, Cordell Patterson, the Philadelphia defense, and Daniel Carlson as their kicker. The team really went all out on their budget. They spent $112 on CMC, $106 on Austin Eckler, and they spent $30 on Christian Kirk. That actually comes out to about 83% of their entire budget. Overall, I think I'm going to give that kind of like a B minus. I'm usually a fan to have more pass catchers, but they do have the anchor studs as far as running backs are the best ones in the business. So if they live up to their hype, then I think just those guys will carry them. But on bye weeks, if his other team doesn't, they don't pan out, he looks a little weaker to me.
Yeah, I mean, so I've often said that I'm a big running back guy. And so I'm going to give it a B. Eckler and CMC, you can't go wrong there. You're only leaving yourself option if they get hurt. Now, right. Eckler's pretty solid about not getting hurt. Christian McCaffrey was good last year. Previous 2 years, not too good. But, man, his pass catchers are scary and not in a good way. I mean, you've got Michael Thomas, who last had a 500-yard season when Donald Trump was in office. You've also got who else did he grab? Christian Kirk. He's okay, but he's just with Calvin Ridley there. I don't think he's got a path to wide receiver 2.
I don't think Christian Kirk's going to fall off at all. I think he's going to be relatively, maybe a little less from his numbers last year, but I think he'll be fine. I think his 2 running backs is going to be the production of 3 running backs. I just think that the rest of his team's a little bit weaker. So he's just hoping that, those guys, do exactly what they're supposed to do, and they should carry him the whole way. But again, I'm not a fan.
All right, well, fair enough. So the next team we've got them with Aaron Rodgers, and they complete the stack with Garrett Wilson. They also have Jalen Waddle, Nick Chubb, Kenneth Walker III, Cole Kmet, Brian Robinson, Brandon Cooks, A.J. Dillon, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Higbee, Alan Lazard, Jake Elliott, and Jacksonville rounding it out. So they got Chubb for $96, which was a lot, which was high. They got Waddle for $48, and they got Garrett Wilson for $61. Now, I think you like this team a little bit better than I do, because I'm giving this team a solid C. The reason for that being, one, I think they overspent on Chubb, and their receiver, Garrett Wilson, with Aaron Rodgers, yes, I get it. He got a huge QB upgrade after a 1,000-yard season, but that line, Aaron Rodgers hasn't gone over 300 yards in over 22 games. So, it's just not who he is anymore. He's not that guy, pal.
Fair enough.
Well, let me finish my thought, though. And Jalen Waddle, who we got for $48, he got Garrett Wilson for $61 and Waddle for $48. Waddle is not the number 1. Tyreek Hill is. So you've got 2 quality pass catchers, but I just think, it's just one of those, I give it a C.
I'll give him a solid B+. I really like his team, probably even more than he likes his team. I think Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson are going to put up numbers. I think Nick Chubb was the perfect running back to spend all your money on, so I'm good with there. I think Waddle is the number 2 on his own team. He could be the number 2 on anyone's fantasy team all day long. He's going to get production, so I think he has a great team. I'll transition to the final team, the team 6. I think they have a solid
Not the final team. We still got more to go.
But I'll break out his team. I think he has one of the most complete teams of our draft. I'm a little jealous, and I have to play him twice this year. So wins are going to be hard to come by. He has Ramondre Stevenson, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, Damian Pierce, Jalen Hurts, Mike Evans, Javonte Williams, Kyle Pitts, San Francisco Niners defense, Justin Tucker is their kicker, Juju Smith, Jahan Dotson, Elijah Mitchell, Chuba Hubbard. He spent $45 on Jalen Hurts, $66 on Cooper Kupp, and $59 on A.J. Brown. So he spent about 56% of his budget on his top 3 players. I mean, overall, I feel like we maybe have too many drinks or something, or maybe not enough people were, bidding against him. Because I think from a 12-team roster in an auction league, I think his starters are solid.
What grade do you give him?
I'm going to give him an A-.
I'm with you that on the A-. He had a killer draft. I think he spent a lot on the quarterback, but you're getting Hurts. If he duplicates what he did last year, that's going to be great. All right, so let's take a look at the next team. So on the next team, we've got Patrick Mahomes, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins, Saquon Barkley, Alexander Mattison, Dallas Goedert, James Cook, Pat Freiermuth, Kirk Cousins, Rashad Penny, Quentin Johnston, Elijah Moore, Young-Ho Koo, and the Buffalo Bills defense. So on that team, they got Mahomes for 55, they got Barkley for 79, and they got Deebo for 38. Now, I am a huge Mahomes lover, so I've got a little bit of bias here, but I'm going to give this team a B-, just because I don't like Alexander Mattison as a number 2. And I don't like the Goddard-Freiermuth combo at tight end. Like, get one or get neither. Those aren't 2 guys that you can have at the same time. If you're going to go with one or the other, go with one. But Mahomes gives them an edge. I think that Higgins and Samuel are a pretty solid combo. I think they're a little bit less than league average, but they both can have breakout weeks. So that's where I stand.
I'll give him a B+ as far as rankings. I differ with my boy over here. I think Alexander Mattison is the perfect complement as the RB2. I actually bid against him, but I didn't have enough money to keep him. I think he's going to be great as long as he can hold up. I love his quarterback. I actually am a fan of, as far as strategies, if you can't get the top tier or maybe tier 2 tight ends, then I've always liked carrying 2 tight ends and alternating them based on matchups. And his tight ends, I think, are going to be outproducing their ADP on average. So,
you play a tight end in the flex, though? I mean, you can only start one.
I know, but I mean, overall, his running backs are consistent. I'm good with those, and I'm good with his quarterback, and I think he's okay. So I'll give him a B+.
All right.
I'll go with the next team over here. And back down to his lineup, he has Justin Herbert as his QB. He has Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, Breece Hall, Najee Harris, Mark Andrews, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, Devin Singletary, Trey Burks, Charbonnet, and then Jacoby Myers. He also has Jacob Myers for the kicker. Then he has New England defense. He spent the majority of his money on his top 3 players of Jamar Chase, Najee Harris, and Mark Andrews. About 88 on Chase, 50 on Harris, and 46 on Andrews. So it's about 62% for his top 3 players. Overall, I think he did a pretty good job on his team. I'm a huge fan of Chase. I'm going to give him a B+ too as well. What are you thinking?
So this team is either going to be an F or an A. And he might F you in the A some games, and he might, so this team comes down to Breece Hall and Najee Harris. Najee Harris is being pushed by Warren right now, and we already know from our last episodes that he's a big volume guy, but he's not a big efficiency guy. If Breece Hall loses a lot of work, that could be a problem. Now, Justin Herbert is, supposed to be the greatest quarterback talent we've ever seen. Last year he had 25 touchdowns. Yes, I know he got hurt. Yes, I know there were problems. So I'm not going to cop out and say, it's either an A or an F. I'm going to plant my flag at a solid B+ because of all the upside. But there's a lot of upside, and if a couple things go right for him, he's going to be solid. That's just how I feel.
So you're basically agreeing with me on a B+.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. The next team that we've got, I clicked on the wrong thing here. Give me a sec. The next team we have has Lamar Jackson at the quarterback. They got Tyreek Hill, Christian Watson, Josh Jacobs, JT, Jonathan Taylor, Zach Ertz, Miles Sanders, Zay Flowers, George Pickens, Michael Gallup, Gerald Everett, Matt Gay, the Baltimore defense, and the New York Jets defense. So that's going to be a demerit right off the bat for rostering two defenses. But so his team, he got Hill for $87. He got Jacobs for $61, and he got Taylor for $43. Now, if those guys, Jacobs just reported to camp literally yesterday. So we'll see how that works out. Right now, it's looking like a great thing for him. But again, I don't expect the Raiders to be very good. Taylor, we still don't know what's going on with him. So that $43 could be a steal. It could also be a massive overpay if he's holding out or put on the PUP list or whatever. That could be a problem. So overall, I'm giving this team a C- because I just think, there's a lot of question marks. Watson could be a stud, or going to Jordan Love could be terrible. Tyreek Hill's obviously a stud, but what if he takes a step back? Lamar Jackson got paid. He's been injured the last 2 years. We don't know about the running back. Zach Ertz is not a starting tight end in this league anymore for fantasy. And you've got two defenses. I don't know what you want me to do with this squad. Get out of here. Must have been doing some white powder.
You know what? I will not stray too far from you. I'm going to say he's a solid C at best. I'll just mirror what you said. I think it just comes down to his running backs. But I'm not concerned about Josh Jacobs. I think he's just he'll do fine, and he'll anchor that team. I think the biggest component is Jonathan Taylor. He spent, relatively cheap for if he plays and he does well, but who knows if he's going to continue it up or keep going. I love his QB with Lamar Jackson, and I think Tyreek Hill, I was bidding in there. I just wasn't willing to spend that much. But outside of those guys, I think his team is kind of lacking. So, C at best.
All right, let's take it.
All right, we'll go to the next team, Team 11. We'll start off with Deshaun Watson, Michael Pittman, Addison, Derrick Henry, Rachaad White, George Kittle, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, TJ Hawkinson, J.K. Dobbins, Zeke Elliott, Geno Smith. He spent his top three players. He spent with CeeDee Lamb at $69. Nice. Henry at $77 and Kittle at $27. So his top three players, he spent about 57%. Overall, I think he has a pretty quality team. I'm also going to give him a B+. I think his biggest question mark is going to be really Deshaun Watson. That's a QB that I was high on. I think he's going to do relatively well in a second-year system. He has the weapons, but I'm a fan of his backs. I'm a fan of, J.K. Dobbins on the bench, it looks like. I think he's going to do really well. He has two stud tight ends with Kittle and T.J. Hawkinson. Those guys are technically tier 2 guys. So, I'm a fan. I think he did well in the draft. What are you thinking?
There's too much things I don't trust on this team. I'm going to give him a C+ because I don't trust Deshaun Watson yet. Maybe he's great, maybe he's terrible. Pittman has got all the hype in the world the last couple of years. CeeDee Lamb is solid. He's a good wide receiver 1. Jordan Addison's a rookie playing on the opposite side of Justin Jefferson. On the bright side, you're not going to face those double teams. On the other side, Justin Jefferson's going to get literally all the targets. Rachaad White and Derrick Henry are okay. But yeah, there's upside, but there's also a lot of downside in my opinion.
I think he's going to be fine because his three running backs, Rachaad White, J.K. Dobbins, and Derrick Henry, he can go two running back sets or he can go 3 running back sets. I think his team overall is fine. I think the biggest question mark is Deshaun Watson.
Fair enough. All right, so for this team, the next team, we've got Justin Fields at quarterback, Chris Olave at receiver, Keenan Allen at receiver. You've got Aaron Jones. You've got James Conner. You have Darren Waller. You have Calvin Ridley. You have Cam Akers, Sky Moore, Deontay Johnson, Dalvin Cook, Jalen Warren, Harrison Butker, and the Washington defense. So this team absolutely gets an A. Front to back, just killing the draft. I think Fields is going to be a top 5 running back. I think that now, while Aaron Jones and James Conner aren't like huge names, I think they both have RB10 to RB15 finishes, which is solid. You had Fields go for 21, Olave at 37, and Aaron Jones at 47. And I think the Olave, Ridley, and who is the other one? Deontay Johnson. Those are solid 3 receivers. Also, you have Cam Akers, who has a lot of upside, and Jalen Warren, who has a lot of upside. Also, that's a Washington defense plays Arizona week 1, and Arizona's going to be terrible. So they're going to be streaming defenses, I think. And I think that's a solid A team.
And FYI, my co-host over here just loves his team. I think he did a pretty good job as far as strategy is concerned. We brought this up previously. I think he did a lot of quality players, a lot of good players. I just don't think he has anyone that's top 5 in the position, but he has a lot of people between like the 20 and 30
Hilarious
positions.
from a Bears.
So outside of Fields, he did bid against me. I hate that my co-host over here had to do that. People were heckling me, but overall, I'd give his team a B+ because I think it's solid top to bottom. I just don't think he has any studs. We'll cap it off with the team that I drafted with Jared Goff. I'm on St. Brown. I have Devontae Adams, Khalil Herbert, Antonio Gibson, Travis Kelce, Gabe Davis, Terry Scary, Tua, Cortland Sutton, Jerick McKinnon, Tyler Algier, Tyler Bass, and the New Orleans Saints. Kelce was my most expensive player at 81, Adams at 71, St. Brown at 68. So I spent about 73% on my pass catchers. And that's my strategy that I stay consistent to. Now, I will say this. I think my team is pretty good, but it's clearly that my weakest points is my running backs. So I'm really relying on them to not get hurt or injured. And if they can at least contribute to where they're supposed to be within the 20 to 25 range, then I think I'm going to be great. So I'm going to give my team a B.
Actually, you know what? I was going to give your team an A-, honestly, because I know I've drafted with you long enough, and you did exactly what you want to do. You've got your top, you're going to be top for the pass catchers. I like your QB combos. A-, B+, you're in that range. So that's going to close it out. That's our live draft results for our teams, for our League of Record. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We're going to catch you guys soon with another one. And remember, when you play fantasy,
you play for the crown.
We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Fantasy Football Kings. You can always reach out to us on Twitter at FFB_Kings or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're available wherever you get podcasts. So don't forget to download, subscribe, review, and rate 5 stars.